So good afternoon, everyone. This is James Netz with the Sawyer County LCOE Economic Development Corporation again with another podcast. We have Cindy Swift with Riverbrook Bike and Ski and located in downtown Hayward. We're lucky to have her time today to discuss some of the things success stories that Riverbrook has had over the last few months. And welcome, Cindy.
Thank you.
Let's get started with, tell us a little bit about the success and some of the good, bad, and ugly, if you will, of Riverbrook during the time of the COVID-19 virus.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start by saying the world is full of tension and fear right now, and we happen to be in the business of fun. So we sell equipment, accessories, clothing, and all these things that people need to facilitate their fun. We've also seen a big shift in the family unit without play outside, without school, without football, basketball, sports, and things that children can often be involved in. They were home, and I think families made a huge shift on how to get along and figure out what to do together. They suddenly found themselves with time on their hands. Kids were home, parents were home, some people were laid off. So the bicycle became a very simple solution to a very complicated world problem. It's healthy and it's fun. And we happen to be in a business that excelled during this time, so bicycles have become scarce. They're in very short supply right now because people have found that it's safe to go outside, and typically it's not a real social thing. There aren't a lot of group activities going on around the bicycle right now, but families and friends are finding that they can go together. So, not only is it something to do, but it also promotes health. One thing we have seen is here in Hayward, there's been a lot of focus on young people getting into cycling through a local program called the NICA, which is a local composite team for kids riding bikes. And that has gotten a lot of kids interested in getting out into the woods, and it's gotten parents and other family members interested. And we have found that when people get out on a bike, they just tend to relax. My personal experience with that is to take children on a ride. They suddenly just talk about everything, just everything. It's like they're given a license of freedom. You know, they're not in a house, they're not in a car. They suddenly are driving something of their own, and they feel this sense of satisfaction and empowerment. And off they go.
They're not playing games, and they don't have tablets in their hands, and they're seeing nature for the first hand, right? And
they ask questions, and they look around, and they see things they don't ordinarily see. I mean, that's the biggest reason why I ride. It's my thinking time. It's my peace time. It's my time to just engage in nature. And it's been an amazing summer for wildlife. Amazing.
Yeah, we're all seeing that.
Yeah. Why do you see it?
Well, being a wildlife photographer, I'm getting out there and I'm seeing, for example, the other day I was driving to a photo shoot, and I had just turned the corner, and I looked in my rear view mirror of my vehicle, and here I see a fox. And he's not running away. He's running towards my truck as I'm driving down the road. And I'm like,
funny?
Really? That's kind of unusual. But we're I know even in the bigger cities, they're saying that they're seeing more and more wildlife because, people were locked up and or during the lockdown,
right,
that people weren't really getting out. So the wildlife was getting out there more and more. So you had said that it's there's kind of a shortage in the bicycles. Is that because of the uptick in sales, or And or is it because the manufacturers are cutting production a little bit because of the virus?
It's a little bit of both. Mostly, I think it's because a lot of the world decided to ride a bike who has not ridden before, or they wanted to upgrade or take it up in another respect. So I would say demand was definitely there. The supply chain took a hit. A lot of the bikes come out of China, Taiwan. It's been difficult. I think some of the containers were stuck on the water, and it was just hard to get stuff. So I think the industry as a whole has kind of come together, and there's been a lot of people who are in the know publishing things as to what to do. Trek has been a good guide through this whole process. We're a Trek dealer, and they've been very good at immediately producing videos on the how-to and what to do. And I feel like they set a good precedent for us. And we took our precautions for sure, but we never had to close our doors. We were considered essential. We locked our doors initially. Now we're just taking as many precautions as we can and allowing people to come in.
Now, you had mentioned Trek.
Yep.
It's a Wisconsin company, isn't it?
It is, Waterloo, Wisconsin.
Got it.
Outside
Cool.
of Madison.
Yeah, and they've been in business for quite a while.
Oh, yeah. Long time.
Now, are you seeing the supply of bikes better now or worse?
We're starting to see, I've had bikes on order for going on 3 months. So I'm now fulfilling maybe 1 or 2 orders a week. They're trickling in one at a time. We just give people hope and tell them you're on the wait list, and it will come. But the industry seems to have said they probably will not have stock bikes until after Christmas. So if you don't have it on order, you're not getting anything to just cherry pick.
Got it.
On order.
Now, I noticed that you had quite a few bikes in stock at your store.
Yeah.
So that some of these, it's not the end of the world I guess it would be if somebody is ordering a specific bike, but I noticed that you had quite a few in stock.
We've got some electric bikes. So the e-bike has taken on there's a resurgence of people who would like a little bit of assistance. The pedal assists are big. We have those. And higher end mountain bikes. That's, a bike that's $2,500 and above is not a random pickup item.
Right.
So it's a choice. And we have some of those. We were able to act fast and get those while they were available. And that's for the more committed, serious rider. And we're seeing those. We have such great trails here. We've seen a lot of people traveling here for the reasons of coming to experience our woods and our fantastic trail system Canva has provided. And I think people find Hayward really fun. So we're on the fun side with our location. Hayward is fun and people find it attractive. So we're lucky to be up here.
Well, I know I've heard from others as well as that, Hayward, Sawyer County is an area that, you can come to even during the virus crisis, if you will, and be able to social distance in the wilderness, and you're not crowding with other people and that kind of thing. So, which is, I think you alluded to as well, as people are coming up here to be one with nature, if you will.
Yeah, I've seen them. They bring a boat, a bike. The family has bikes. They get in the boat. They can go kayaking and swimming, and they can stay at a cabin. But I think there's a lot less tension up north. We have had, so far, we've had less cases. I see people look and feel and almost always act relaxed, like they can take a deep breath when they come north. Mm-hmm. And they like visiting the little shops downtown, and it makes them have a sense of comfort to just kind of take a step back in time, where Hayward is not a bustling, huge community with traffic jams and
right.
crowded sidewalks, and it's pretty cool.
So, Riverbrook itself, what did you do to kind of bring attention to, you had mentioned that you're an essential business, but what was probably the top 3 things that you did to bring attention to the Riverbrook?
Well, thank you for asking. You never know as a business owner if you're doing anything right. However, the first thing I did was accelerate advertising. I thought that the most important thing was to get word out that we were going to be open, and in what way were we open. I hired somebody that could help immediately with the website in order to get updates put out there we also had the downtown Main Street tore up. So that was kind of a double whammy for people.
But a great time to
oh my gosh, that was fantastic, wasn't it?
It couldn't have been any better.
So we had our own parking, so we wanted people to know that you had access anywhere. If you wanted to use our parking lot, you can come to the back. People wanted to know if they could get their bikes serviced. What was our policy going to be on the sensitive topic of the virus, and how were we going to handle I guess just were we going to require masks? Did we have the doors locked? So all of that was spelled out on the website. That helped tremendously. And people made appointments.
Did you did you completely revamp your website, or did you just update
kind of.
Okay.
The revamp was we turned on everything we could in our industry. We had to pay for more access. So we could tap right into our supplier, a couple of big suppliers. So if we couldn't fulfill it, they could get direct fulfillment from a company that could fulfill it. If it was a part, people just wanted to be able to get outside and do something, right? And if a part was standing in the way, like a tube or a tire or whatever they needed to repair their bike, maybe it was just some clothing or something, people figured out they could get it on a website. They also started ordering bikes through the website, and you could go factory direct and such. The only time we saw difficulty was people were getting bikes shipped to their home and they were putting them together themselves, and that they were running into lots of problems. So I think it's best if you let professionals handle that.
You had mentioned online or e-commerce on your website.
Yes, e-commerce.
Did you have that prior to the COVID?
Not really. We dabble in that. At the time of Berkey, we always do online wax service, so they can purchase it ahead of time because it's always out of towners, and then that's all purchased and they drop their ski off. So that was all e-com, and so we were familiar with the process. We knew that it was out there. We just always relied on in-store customers, and suddenly we thought, well, we're not going to have any of those, so we better do something different.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a shaky time. I think everybody was just, life accelerated in a way, like it was confusing for everyone.
Well, it still is to a certain
it is.
Right? I mean, we still are facing what that landscape is going to look like over the next 30, 60, 90 days, and then we've got the fall and winter coming. So
right, I mean, there's never a sure thing. So I guess, we spun a lot of plates at the same time, and just hope they didn't go crashing into the wall when you spend more money.
I like that term, spinning a lot of plates.
Yeah.
That's very true, though, right?
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
And being flexible as well.
Okay, thank you. That's a key word, I think, is rolling with it and being flexible, trying to respectfully handle all attitudes that you confront. I think we had to respect a lot of fear, a lot of questions. Some people seemed oblivious that there was a virus, and we had to ask them to be respectful of us. But I'd say for the most part, it's worked out really well because the majority of the people are concerned and respectful. It only takes one.
Right. Exactly.
Screw us all.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, right?
Right.
So, getting back to the website, are you right now, is your website, do you feel is it 100%? It's doing really well? Are you still in process of changing it? What are some of the changes that you see to your website over the next 30 days?
As a business owner, nothing's ever 100%.
Yeah,
You're always
exactly.
reaching a little higher. I would say it's close, but if there's one thing I would change, I would put everything we offer in the store online. However, that's a major undertaking. And we have to determine if that's cost effective.
Right.
But right now, everybody finds everything online. I'm watching people come into town and they have little kids and they say, we want to go swimming, where should we go? And I send them up to Sealy to go to Silverthorne Park, and we search the Google right there and it shows up and off they go. So I see how people travel. I see how they find things, and I don't want to be off the back.
Right. Yep. Because that's the way of the world right now, right?
It is.
I mean,
it is.
That's how you get your name out there, and that's how you get your products out there, and that kind of thing. And
right.
What about social media? How did you change your social media, and if you did, what did you do, and how's that working?
Again, thank you for asking. I would say for us, the social media that we do is more like a blog. So when someone buys a bike, I like to tell their story. So for me, when I started this years ago, it was more or less just fun fact finding, where you're talking to the person. So where are you going to go with this? What made you want to buy this? Well, what will you do? Who will you be with? And how did you come to this conclusion? Well, the stories that you get are pretty amazing. And you find out where people have come from and where they're going to go. And I have gotten a good, favorable response from people on those little stories that tell people how they have bought a bike. So, and why. And then it kind of lets other people know how they might utilize it, or how they might see themselves using it in their future, because it can be a bit of an intimidating environment. It's not all about athletes and fast people riding bikes. We've sold bikes to people that at this point can't ride and are getting a bike in hopes to be able to pedal someday.
Right.
They're buying hope.
Well, and you bring up really kind of a side issue there. And I know back in the early days of Canva, I took my mountain bike, which, oh my God, needs updating. And I know, Cindy, I've been in your store a few times going, oh my God, I really want a new bike, and then I'm kind of like, when do I have time?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you talked about, the fast riders or the elite athletes out on the trails, and then you talk about the families. And I know myself, I thought I was pretty good on a mountain bike, but boy, one of those, I got going down some Kama trails, and they were narrow, and they're all together different now, but there's rocks and trees, and I might have put on 2 miles, and I got off the bike just going, I was shaking in fear. But it brings up a good question. Where are you seeing the increase in sales right now? Is it the beginners? Is it the intermediate? Or is it the elite bikers?
Got it. I'd say beginners. I think more people are jumping on the wagon for the reasons that I listed before, where it's a good way to get out. And I'm not sure, a lot of local people, I think, have discovered, not only through their kids, but through friends, that we have an amazing trail system through the woods here. Mm-hmm. And probably the best thing that's happened in the last few years is the Hayward Memorial Hospital donated land. Property over by the hospital called the Gateway Trails have been developed through Canva, and it's an amazing series of trails that are relatively easy. Now, you can hurt yourself anywhere. It's sandy, it's rocky. There's a few obstacles here and there, but there is nothing that you can't do. You can just take it slower. So, for instance, I've seen what looked like a 3-year-old out there on a Strider bike. No pedals, just pushing along. But her mom got her out there to give her an experience. And 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds love it. And then teenagers love it because you can ride it as fast and hard as you want. You can ride it as long as you want, but it's pretty much 7 miles total. And it's deep in the woods. And it's gorgeous. Early in the morning, you see deer, you know. I usually do a lot of chipmunk dodging early in the morning.
Well, at least you try to dodge them, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, the Camba trail system and the Berkey trail system in Sawyer County it's an incredible asset that we have here, and obviously a great benefit to your business as well.
Yeah.
Now, we kind of skipped over, I think we need to go back to the social media side of things.
Sure.
So I know that you had talked about that when a person purchases a bike, you kind of tell the story and that can be inspirational to others to not only get out there, but to find your shop and how you interact with your customers. So,
Right.
And is that something that you just started, or have you been doing that for
I've been doing it for a number of years now. I think it became more important during this time. People seem to love social media, so they're finding, and now, I had to learn a lot more about it, but I'm finding the more people you tag and the more businesses you tag, then the more it gets out there. I can't say enough about people just looking for a joyful experience. Something that they think they can do that would reduce the tension in their life, or maybe get them outside or get their kids outside. So these stories are success stories, whether it's somebody who recently lost a bunch of weight, somebody who has overcome a health issue, somebody who's, there's no age limit to riding a bike. Obviously, just balance.
Right.
And even trikes are becoming more prevalent. We haven't got a supplier for a lot of trikes right now, but, our population is aging, and balance is an issue for a lot of people. So we do special order those kinds of things. But I guess if I was to give advice to people who are looking for ways to improve their business, I'd say send a message of joy and reasons for people to be happy and hope.
Just hope.
And
yeah.
hope.
We hear that here as well as, like with the piano that
Yeah.
we put on downtown.
Yeah.
People are just like, it's a feel good sense of community, if you will, during this rough time.
And we all love chocolate and ice cream, but we can't eat that enough to make us feel better all day. And there are ramifications to that.
Right.
So I say, go for a bike ride, and then have chocolate and have some ice cream.
No e-bikes for people that overindulge in chocolate and ice cream, right?
Right.
Anything else on the social media? If there was a top 1 or 2 things that you would recommend to business owners in Sawyer County, what they should do? Post.
Well, it's post, but I think there's a point of no return. The overposting, or too much focus on yourself. Focus on what your business can do for people, or like I focus on the customer. The consumer then tells the message for me, and I think that that's a better way to go about it than self-promotion.
Right.
So much. I think that can be a little shallow and transparent, and people will look at that and just pass on, and probably not read it, but you try to make it a human interest story. Obviously, that's what the news does, but there's not a lot of things that are appealing in human interest right now on the news.
Yeah, we won't go there, right? But You kind of hit on a really good point. It's like, don't talk about yourself, talk about your customers, but, finding that common thread.
Yeah.
Building a sense of community with your customers.
Yep.
And people can share those stories, as you alluded to before. So that's a really good point. And I've seen your posts, obviously, on a regular basis. And, I do think you're doing a great job. So it's more from a blog, right? I mean,
Yes. And I didn't really know the definition of a blog because I was telling a story and somebody said, well, you're blogging. I'm too old to know all this stuff.
And I didn't want to bring that up, but I do remember that conversation. And
in a bid meeting.
Right.
I'm like, what's a blog? Why would anybody do that?
Right. And
right.
Blogs can be short, they can be long. But I think that, the stories that you're telling every time that somebody buys a product from you, it's a short blog.
Well, because they need to tell their story, because everybody has a story.
Right.
And honestly, not everybody wants their picture taken, nor do they want to be on social media. And I respect that.
I understand about the people not wanting to get their picture taken.
Yeah. When they say things like, I can't let my wife know that I bought another bike.
I've heard, this is not to be gender specific here, but I've heard the rule that if you buy something high priced and your spouse has not heard about or doesn't find out about it within 24 to 48 hours, it doesn't matter. You don't have to ask permission.
Was that it?
Yeah, it hasn't worked for me yet.
I see. I read a sign that somebody posted from another shop. And it was a guy buying a bike, and he goes, I haven't told my wife I'm going to buy this bike yet. And I said, well, I saw a sign. I could. It says, for $10, I will write you an invoice that says this bike costs $200.
You'll be glad to do that, right? Yeah, no, that's a great point. So, kind of wrapping up here a little bit, I know you've got a great story about how your business is kind of separated from others, maybe in the same industry and that kind of thing. And I had the pleasure of working with you, building your bio for the downtown bid. And I thought it was a great story. So if you could kind of elaborate on, what is special about Riverbrook and how you approach your business and, how that has been successful for you.
I honestly don't remember the bio. I guess my business partner and I come from backgrounds of being extremely passionate about the sports that we're interested in. But we don't ever feel like elitists with it. I mean, that is probably the most difficult side of business that I see is when you meet people that are elitist about whatever it is they're doing, that's unfortunate because I believe that the better you are in a better position to then help somebody else get better or at least understand the sport. We both do coaching and such to promote sports, to get kids involved, help parents get better at it so that they can feel somewhat competent and go out with their kids, whatever. So I'd say our business is driven on passion, but basically we're also very community oriented and we love what we do. So I guess it's hard not to pass that on to people. Just go try these trails sort of thing.
So when a person comes in for a bike, you're not just going to sell them the bike, you're going to sell them the experience of not only Sawyer County and all the Canva trails and, if they have questions on what's the right bike and, what level of rider I am and that kind of thing, you're going to really work with them, I'm assuming.
We are. And I think there's a segment that's often been neglected. And as a female business owner, I've sort of taken upon myself to make it a focus to help women get what they want. That's not easy in sports. I know it's becoming a growing thing, whether it's archery or buying a gun or whatever. It has to be specific. I mean, I have enough experience with that to know I can't draw too heavy of a bow or it's disastrous. I can't hold a heavy gun very steady, or that too is disastrous. It's the same thing with a bike. We have different needs. We help meet those needs. A lot of times it's just having a respectful, easy conversation with a woman that isn't overrun by ego, saying, well, this is what you ought to get. We ask more questions and let them determine what it is then that they feel they want based on the information that we give them.
Right. So definitely not high pressure sales. That's not you.
We certainly focus on as low a pressure as possible.
Cool.
Take the bike, go ride it, then see for yourself. I can't tell you what is best for you. I can educate you, but then we're so fortunate that on high-end sales, we actually drive the van over with a couple of different options to a trailhead and let people try them right there with an employee that can facilitate that. It's a mechanic that can help out, and we try to dial that in. And I think that's hard to do in a lot of places where you're in a strip mall or downtown somewhere. We just happen to be in awesome downtown Hayward.
Right. And that opportunity, right?
Right.
No, and that's really taking customer service to another level. Which we alluded to before, is you're definitely not just about selling a bike and then never seeing your customer again, kind of thing.
No, and so I guess if I was to say anything to other business owners is, separate yourself, give people a reason to want to do business with you, walk in your door, give them a reason to smile. I like to write quotes on the wall and things that people like to take pictures of and go home with it, because just spread a little sunshine, I guess, in this bleak world we live in right now.
One thing we didn't discuss too is that we talked a lot about bicycling, but you're a full service shop, if you will.
Yeah.
You sell skis and ski boots, or I should say cross-country skis or Nordic skis.
Right.
You have a ton of clothing.
Right.
You have the bicycles, obviously, and then you also have a bunch of clothing specific to the sports as well.
Right. Well, in a small town like this, we don't always have time to go shopping, and go to big cities and things like that. So I felt like I wanted to bring that sort of athleisure look that is so popular now that we all wear. You can kind of look like you are either going to go for a run or you can go to the bar in that same outfit, right? And we just have that kind of relaxed, it's high-end clothing because it lasts and it's good stuff. And we brought that to Hayward because it's an influence we had from traveling or where we've lived in the past. And then we also have very sport-specific stuff that it's tried and true. If we like it, it generally is going to be a good suggestion to somebody else because we've actually tried it. And I certainly get rid of the stuff that doesn't work.
Right. So, what is kind of in closing here? Because we've been talking for quite a while here, and a great conversation, Cindy. But kind of wrapping things up. What would you say is the top 3 advice that you would have for businesses in Sawyer County to be successful? Now and what we can foresee in the next 30, 60, 90 days.
I would say the top priority for us is just be kind. No matter what people are wearing when they come in, just try to understand where they're coming from, because their world could be very different than your own. So we try to reduce the tension when people come in the door, get them to relax and talk about themselves a little bit. And I'd say, so key is be kind. There are rules to enforce, and it's easy to get offended these days, but we just try to be more understanding. We're very on the ball. We get our employees on board with all that. We're very strict about how people are approached, spoken to. And then I'd say separate yourself from the way other people do business. If you're in an industry where Everybody's doing the same thing. Do something very different and put yourself on the map. And
keep up with your social media on a
above
regular
all,
basis.
keep up. Yeah,
right?
I guess
Don't-
I spread the word.
Yeah. Don't talk about yourself. Talk about your customers.
Right.
Right.
Focus on something other than yourself. People see right through that.
Right. Take your customer service to the next level. Be genuine.
Yes. Thank you for putting those words in.
I try.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Be genuine. Customer service is key. You can get treated poorly anywhere.
Oh yeah.
We do not want to ever have anybody treated poorly. And our employees get pulled into the office when we find out that they've given a status quo answer. Mm-hmm. It's like, that is not how we do things here.
Right.
And you know that.
Yep.
Take the easy
Gotta
way
be
out.
on top of that.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
I think that's pretty much it. On behalf of Sawyer County LCO Economic Development Corporation, we appreciate your time today. Hopefully we got
bet.
some good points across. Just as a reminder to everybody, Cindy Swift, co-owner of Riverbrook Bike and Ski, located on the corner of Highway 63 and Hayward's Main Street. How do we get a hold of you? What's your website address?
Riverbrookbike.com.
And do we have an email address and phone number?
Email info@riverbrookbike.com. And phone number 634-0437.
And that's for the 715.
715,
yeah,
sorry.
I know, we're all getting used to that, right?
We are.
I would assume that if somebody from the business community in Sawyer County wants to get a hold of you with some more specific questions, that you would be open to take some of those?
Absolutely.
Great. Again, on behalf of Sawyer County LCO Economic Development Corporation, this is James Netz, your response team coordinator, and we appreciate everybody's time, and we'll talk soon.